Hey guys, starting a new video today. I've got to replace the stator on this engine because it's not charging anymore. So step one that I'm doing, oh shit, don't do that. I just shorted that sucker right out. Didn't short it out, but we had a slight connection there. I'm removing my positive battery terminal so that doesn't happen as I work on this thing. And Matthew, push stop. Got an annoying little boy today. Keeps trying to take my damn seat from me. So all right, we're gonna pull the cable out. And just for safety reasons, I'm gonna stick the cable in a glove. Leather glove. That'll protect the cable, keep it from shorting on anything at all while I do this work. So that part's done. Just set my bolts up here so I don't lose them. So if you don't know what a stator is, let's see if I can show y'all. I know I got the camera focused on the engine because that's what we're working on. We're tearing the engine apart on this thing. So you get it unboxed. This is a stator right here. This goes under the flywheel, generates power. This red wire has a diode in it. And if I remember correctly, I'll post the stuff right here so you can actually see it. But I think this one of them does AC, one of them does DC. This is what recharges your battery, but mine's not working at all anymore. And I guess that means it's time to replace it. All right. So the first step we got to do is obviously remove our engine cover and everything. Next step is we're going to remove this plastic cover here. Pop these two bolts loose. Now what I didn't tell you, I guess I should have told you guys, this is a 15.5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton, okay? Those bolts right there we just removed were half inch socket. You're going to remove this plastic cover next. Next thing to take out is this big bolt right here, okay? All right, so here's the puller kit we're going to use. It has an assortment of bolts with it and the puller head. So really all you're going to do is you're going to find the two bolts that fit down in these two holes right here. See the two holes where we just pulled them half-inch bolts out of? We're going to find two bolts that fit in that. And then that's how we're going to pull this flywheel off of here. So let me get that set up because there's no need to bore you with me going back and forth, finding everything, get it set up, and we'll be back when we're ready to pull it. There we go. Now we're to our stator. All right. So with that being said, though, hold on a second. Our key. So there is a keyway. Figured there would be key that slides down in this shaft. Let me pull the camera over here. I'll show you guys real quick. Oh. All right. So, damn it. I know this is bad, guys. I'm sorry. All right. So right there, you have a keyway. This is what actually holds your flywheel in place. All right. Now I'm going to set it down here on my tool cart so I don't lose the daggone thing. Next step is going to be, let's tear this all apart. All right. So the next step of this process, we got to take these 4 bolts out right here. Okay. Than that. So what I done was put a starter solenoid on it. So basically, like, this is the original 2 wires. I don't even know if you guys can see that. Let me check real quick. Yeah, you might have seen it. I'm trying to get it where you guys can see what's going on here. All right, so the red wire here and this black wire is the original off of your stator. So there was some wiring up I had to do. The black wire is correct. These normally have a plug on the end of them because they should just be a direct replacement. So they should have, let me just get right here for a minute so you guys can see everything. So they come with this plug on them. Well, that plug does me no good because my mower is not equipped with this style plug on it at all. And I don't have the female version of this plug. So that's why the wire, you cut that off. All right, so anyways, mine here, I've got some, let me set this out of the way. All right, guys, so here's the wiring I have left. I'm gonna go ahead and unhook this connector I have. And we're gonna save that and use it later on, because this has to be done a little bit different than what's I guess what's factory on these things. And I might have to pull this starter out of the way so that I can get to this black wire and the connection on it. But if we do, that's okay. I don't mind having to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and just clip this old one off here, get it out of the way for right now. It's trash. I need to get all of this stuff off of here that I put on it. And I guess the best way for me to do that is just, we're going to just pull the starter completely off. I probably don't have no daggone wrenches over here to do that. All right, I'm gonna set that over here out of the way. I don't think there's no need to unhook the wire to it. There we go. All right, so now you kind of see more of what I was talking about here with my wiring job I did. And I'd like to be able to just untape this wire, and that way I'm not clipping off too much of it. Now this is a wire that I ran. This wire here goes all the way to my key switch. So this is all new wiring on it. We're just getting rid of the, and actually, you know what? I did this smart. Look at that. I put a butt connector in, or not a butt connector, but a male and female terminal connector in it. So I just need to replace this terminal on the new one. Now, on my red wire though, I did not do that at all. So we're gonna clip this old stuff off and get it out of here now. Now we'll go ahead and we'll splice this wire. We'll get our wires cut on the new, I'm gonna put it, the new stator down here. But before we put everything back together, I'm about to lose that thing. I think if I pull it, I'm gonna lose oil. But before we put this all back together, I'm gonna clean all this junk out of here. We'll probably just get the vacuum cleaner real quick and suck up what we can out of it. And then I'll crimp some new ends on it and we'll start reassembly on this thing. Multiple tools here to do one job. All right, so like I said, the next step for us is going to be getting our wires out of here. Now you could just clip them off, but this red one has a diode in it and I'd like to get as much of it as I can. So I'll fast forward y'all through this, but I'm going to slowly just cut this wire connector up. So guys, so I was able to get that out, as you saw. That wasn't too bad, but the whole reason for that, I know it sounds silly, but I want to save as much as this I can because, like I said, that's a diode in there. So the ground wire though, it don't matter. We can just clip it right off of there. And we're gonna go ahead and get it spliced up and get our butt connector put on it. These do come with little lock washers to put on them. But I don't know if these bolts, all right, they do thread in, so that's a good thing at least. Hey guys, we got that all hooked back up. We're getting really close now to being done with this thing. I'm gonna try to tuck this wire connector up out of the way. It's okay if our wires are a little long, that's all right. So next thing I want to do is we're going to clean up our flywheel before we put it back on. So let me get the table cleared off, ready to go, and get the camera set up, and we'll be back. Now our flywheel, she got a little bit of rust on it. There's many ways you could clean this. You could just use a piece of sandpaper, you could use a piece of emery cloth if you had one. Whatever the heck you got to clean up the rust on it, that's the biggest thing. So what I'm going to use is going to be, I think I'm going to put a wire wheel in the drill, so I'll be right back. All right, folks. So now we got our flywheel sitting in place. I got my key slots lined up. I'm going to go ahead and drive this bolt down a little bit. That way it'll pull the flywheel down where it's supposed to be. So let's hit it with this. Our key slot is lined up, which is good. So let's get that little booger in. I don't know why it's fitting so hard. I know it's how it's got to go, but I think Okay, yeah, it's got an indent in it where they punched it in at one time. That's on the top there, so let me get a small ball peen hammer and we can smack this thing in place. Alright guys, so now we're going to tap our key in. And like I said, they did use, there's a little indent in it where they used a punch, sent it on down there just a hair bit more, so we're going to do the same. Send it down in there just a little bit. Just for added security, I guess, is why they do that. I don't know. I don't see how that thing would ever come out, but oh well. It's in there now. All right, now we're going to start putting this thing back together. There we go. Now, you got two options. You can either put your motor all back together, the covers on it, everything's back together now where it should run, or you can go ahead and test it as is. I'm not going to take that chance because my oil fill tube right here is very loose. I have a new rubber gasket to replace this one, but I'd like to wait until I do an oil change because I'm going to lose oil when I pull this off. So, with that being said, for the time being, we're just going to put this thing back together. We're going to take our chances, all right? So, I got a pretty good feeling this motor's put back together correctly. We shouldn't have nothing to worry about here. We shouldn't, but, you know, we probably will. Now, all right, guys, so we got everything hooked up now, back up. And we're going to try to fire this thing up. So let's see what it does here. So we'll put it on choke and turn our fuel on. Now, I know I said with that solenoid, it stops the fuel from coming from the tank. I'm still doing a fuel shut off. Uh-oh. We're having starter issues, guys. What's wrong with our starter? Don't sound like it's engaging at all. That's not good. Take two.